Bannerlord is an interesting game to talk about because I think, like many, I had really high expectations for it when I heard it was coming into early access sometime around 2020, I believe it was. And I remember all of the hype that I had built up personally over the years. I didn't necessarily do the whole Bannerlord win online stuff. I typically try to be more hands-off when it comes to online communities personally, as they can tend to get a little toxic, a little whiny, just kind of annoying in general. I just would observe from the sidelines and then form my own speculations, obviously, about what the game would turn into. So when the game launched and we got what I think is arguably still a slightly better product than Warband, I was, like many, still a little disappointed that many of its features from its predecessor weren't included and look like they'll never be included. But this isn't a video about criticizing Bannerlord. This is a video about a mod that made me fall back in love with Bannerlord because I have hundreds of hours in Bannerlord. I'm going to be frank with you. I really enjoy the game. I think that it elevated the combat experience. There's a bunch of quality of life features, not to mention just the physicality, the graphics of it, the map itself. Everything looks better, and I know for some people that won't matter, but for me, it definitely did. If you go back and play Warband now, the difference is startling. Plus, recently, I believe, within the last year or two, they added the weather system, which is also very cool, which I hadn't even played with until I played this mod that I recently discovered. And this is Eagle Rising. That's what I want to talk about today. Normally, I would script a video like this and I would have a bunch of talking points, but I'm so excited about the Eagle Rising mod because it's quite literally made me love Bannerlord again. I have not been this jazzed to get up early in the morning before work, to run downstairs and try to fight a couple battles because of its passion. It's one of those mods that when you look at it on the surface, it doesn't necessarily seem like it does a lot. It is a total conversion mod, but it doesn't change the map all that much. What it does is it overhauls the factions and puts them in this really interesting historical context. So as you can see here on the screen, we have the supported factions. Everybody's been altered in some way. So the Empire was Roman anyway. They were like Byzantine in Bannerlord. In this one, they're more like the Rome from the late Republic to probably the Middle Empire, maybe the late Empire. So it's a pretty broad stretch, but you get a lot of different armor varieties that way. The Vlandians are the Dacians. They are, from what I understand, going to be moved later on in the mod. I think maybe the Hellenistic faction, which is going to get added later, is going to get put here. You have the Scythians, where the Kujits are, although I kind of would prefer them to be the Huns, but I think this fits the time period better. The Batanians are obviously the Celts, and they look fantastic. It's probably one of my favorite ones in the mod. Carthage is the Osiri, and Carthage looks fantastic. And then the Germanics or the Goths are the Sturgians. So you have these historical contexts for these factions now that I think really fleshes them out. I think my big issue personally with Bannerlord was that the time period just wasn't far back enough. It didn't dedicate to what it wanted to do because obviously Warband was very like high middle age. It was very, like 1200s, 1100s. That was what it wanted to do. And in this one, I was like, this is a personal thing. I wanted it to go further back than it did. It sort of felt like it was early middle age, which is great. It's a really interesting time period. I think there's more people interested in this period leading up to the fall of the Roman Empire or even the rise of the Roman Empire. It's an interesting perspective. And being able to play as factions, even in Calradia, even if they are sort of a morph of what they are in reality, it is just so cool. It is such a refreshing feel to the world. But not only that, because the mod requires the realistic battle mod because of its various different weapons that it adds to the game, specifically like the Roman Gladius with its stabbing mechanic behind the shields, it elevates the combat experience tremendously. Obviously, realistic battle mod is doing a lot of the heavy lifting when it comes to that, but I think the fact that they implemented most of the game's weapons to be included in that, like it has slings, tons of different throwing weapons. Apparently in the future they're planning on adding war elephants to places like Carthage. I'm gushing over this mod. It is so good. It is such a fun time. I've personally been playing it with the Service Soldier mod, which the dev team apparently has been updating fairly frequently to keep it compatible with this mod because so many people want to, be a member of the Legion. I have a video coming out in the near future where I will play as a Legionnaire. It's something that I think everybody will do at one point. The Roman faction, as they know, if you do end up playing this mod, they are overpowered just because of how the Gladii works, because of the stabbing. Any stabbing damage in this mod will basically be OP. So spears are incredibly strong. I have a run, it's probably on screen right now, where I think I killed like 40, 50 people in one battle purely because I was running around stabbing them directly in the face with a spear. And in normal Bannerlord, that wouldn't happen. But because of the changes it makes it feel genuine, because I do think you know, I mean, the spear was the king of the battlefield for centuries, for millennia, really. So it makes sense that it would be strong. There are some balance issues that need to be addressed with the mod. I'm not going to act like it's perfect out the box. There's probably going to be some people that don't like some of the features of it purely because they don't feel very balanced, but these are known problems. It's a cool historical, like, proof of concept, and even then I would say that that's doing it a disservice because it has so much already there that you don't really need to call it that. It's been in development since November 22nd of 2022, and from what I understand, they are aiming at evolving the mod into more of a historical, like a fully historical mod by adding like a European map and adding various other factions, like a Hellenistic faction, like I said, and then a couple other ones. I know they want to make a sub-mod to center around the Imperial era. These are all things that they've said directly on their Nexus mod page, so I'm not just making this up. I'm putting this on screen too so you can see what I'm talking about. But set around the year of the Four Emperors, so like late Roman Empire. Very, very interesting time periods to cover. Plus, obviously, they can use other mod teams like Lemmy's Europe map, as they said here in this post as well, to sort of make that European historical mod a reality, which I think would be great for Bannerlord. Bannerlord is definitely being, in my opinion, kept alive by its modding teams, and Eagle Rising is, in my opinion, again, the best historical mod that I've played as of right now. It's a lot of fun. I highly recommend it. It also looks beautiful. I feel like they did some visual changes. I could be wrong, but the armors and everything they made for it themselves are just fantastic. I spent most of my time playing as either the Legions or as the Celts, although I did jump down to Carthage as well just to mess around with some of their armor because they're cool. There's a couple other interesting features which I didn't mess around with a ton, but one of them is the armory system. So you can go to towns, and if you belong to the faction, you can go to something called the Smithing Guild. You don't have to be a part of the Smithing Guild, but if you are in that faction, like as a mercenary or as a vassal, you can buy high quality faction armor, which is basically like the armor that nobles would wear, or like the emperors would wear, or the imperators, whatever you want to call them. And it looks positively sick, unbelievably sick. And then they also want to elevate the culture mechanics so that as your tiers increase, you get access to better officers, better standard bearers, better bodyguards, better troops like engineers, elephants in the future. They wanted to add features like if you're part of the Empire or part of some of the other ones, you'll get like a bodyguard. But apparently this is bugged at the moment, so they haven't really been messing with this. But I really wanted to make a small video where I just talked about how fantastic the mod was. It feels so fun to be able to play as these Imperial Romans versus Carthage. Obviously that wouldn't have happened because Carthage was already pretty much defeated by this point by the Roman Republic, but it's cool being able to like play as the Scythians and the Dacians and the Goths and like sort of have this historical mashup of time periods from late antiquity to the early Middle Ages. I've had an absolute blast with it. I've been really interested in this period as of late because of all the time I've been playing the Fallen Eagle mod for CK3, but I know you're coming here for Bannerlord, so I'm not going to talk about CK3. If you like historical mods, I could not recommend it enough. It is very much worth your time. As I said, as far as total conversion mods go, it mostly focuses right now on troops, and right now they're working on getting the factions balanced, which is always a struggle, I think, for any total conversion mod. But as the mod progresses, I believe it's going to really shock you, really impress you, and I feel like I have seen some forts or some levels that I haven't seen otherwise, so I don't know if they've been messing with those or if it's just base game. I haven't been able to look into that too much. From what I can understand, most of what they've done is like art assets and in-game models and stuff, which look fantastic. But that is going to be it for me. I really just wanted, again, to make a short little video talking about the Eagle Rising mod. If you've never heard of it, please, please, please go on Steam, go on the Nexus, go on somewhere, download it, play it, enjoy it. This is the way I think Bannerlord was meant to be. It really elevates that experience and has made me personally fall in love with this game again. And I am so happy to be back in the world of Calradia, even if it is in a different, skin. It's a lot of fun, and the service soldier tweak that they did for it, really, really great. It fits this so well, being able to fight in the legions and, elevate yourself, and being able to recruit specialist recruits is just really cool. There's just so many wonderful things about the mod. I cannot wait to see what sort of comments I get from people who either love this or have never heard of it. All glory to the devs. You guys have done a fantastic job. Thank you again to the game's artist, Rune. Absolutely fantastic artist for doing the thumbnail for this video. You are much appreciated. Thank you so much for your time. As always, I'm Soul. This has been a video gushing over Eagle Rising, which is a Bannerlord mod, a historical Bannerlord mod, which I could not recommend enough. And I will happily see you in the next one.